Good morning. I thought maybe I'd have morning coffee with you on this day of the 1st, January 1st of the new year, of the new cycle. We're still in the Mayan 7th day, and but it won't be long. I think it's next month we go into the very last cycle. The way Carl Kalaman has it laid out, we're finishing up the galactic cycle in the 7th day. Every cycle has 7 days and 6 nights, so it's divided up into 13 equal sections. And there's an unusualness that happens instead of going from a day to a night. You know, there was no 7th night in Genesis. We go from the 7th day of one cycle to the 1st day of the next. And so there's a certain empowerment there. And seasons and cycles are changing very fast now. We just had solstice, it seems, and we had that magnificent full moon eclipse, which allowed the bringing in of many energies. And I don't really know what I'm talking about. It's just feeling that's speaking. There are major changes that it's like the tumblers in a lock. As seasons and cycles turn, things lock in, and things are enabled to be opened, and things change. And so change accelerates and continues to do so. Now, I didn't record anything yesterday on my birthday, but I did write in a few comments to let people know my Harmony cat crossed over yesterday on my birthday. It was a really interesting thing that Mom crossed on Christmas of '07 and Harmony cat on my birthday. Now, she's still here with me. I can feel her this time. And that is such a huge blessing. Oh my God. How I wished I would have had that with my other kitties. But seasons and cycles have changed. And so now I don't know what, I'm just more able to receive. The spoon is because I love coconut oil, and I coconut so much that I actually put some of the oil in my my coffee each morning. And of course it rises to the top. And so you stir it in. Now, I want to share something interesting with you guys. When a being leaves the body and crosses over, it takes a little while, maybe in the neighborhood of 3 days, for us to completely pull out of that body. We have a lot of our energies really locked deeply into it. And the very best thing for us is to not leave any of that there. That's our soul essence. And so I have Harmony's body laying over there on a lovely blanket in a chair in the living room with me here. And I'm being supportive and helping her to pull out of her body. I had Ken work with her right away when he learned that she'd crossed, and he confirms what I know. He told me, now be sure to tell her that she's crossed. She's not quite sure about that. And so if you can, if it's convenient for you, I've got the house a bit cooler, to enable me to keep the dear beloved one's form with me and in a home situation, to give her some time to pull away from it. I don't know that I'm doing this for 3 days. I'm doing it for one, and this is the second day. It's interesting. I had put her body in a flat open box, and I knew I didn't want to bury it right away. Besides, it was pouring rain, and I'm not going to get out in that and try to dig a hole. So I set it in the garage, and then I spoke with Ken on the phone, and I could tell, oh my goodness, my little kitty is still very much working with that body, and she must really wonder what that was all about. And so I went right back out and got it and brought it in with me. And I'm so delighted to be able to do this for her. As I said, I do feel her here with me. And it's just a blessing. It's just an additional blessing that can be rendered to the being, to the cat. I guess that the natives would call them cat people, like the bear people and so on. They are races of beings that we love dearly and that deserve our respect and whatever we can do for them. And so enough of that. I just wanted to share that. Some of you who are really sensitive may even feel her presence here with me. Okay. Now, I'm glad that on the 30th I had recorded some things, so I had something to put up on the 31st. I wasn't in any shape to be recording, but it's kind of funny. For the first time, I've gotten better now about, I listen to every one once it's up to be sure I've got sound all the way and that kind of thing. And I actually put a negative comment on my own video, the one with the unicorn. I said it's too damn cheerful. So, and I've had another friend kind of pull away when I don't know yet. It's still in process, but in the midst of laying out boundaries and saying, look, I need this subject. We've gone over it and over it, and I don't want it to be a part of our discussion anymore. And I haven't heard from this one. So letting go and letting go and letting go has been the theme for me. And I'm very happy to be doing this because I feel it's very constructive. I feel it's being in tune with the cycles of letting go of all that binds, of all that holds us down, of all that forms a part of belief, so that we can rise up in frequency and we can be ready for the intensity of the energies that are oncoming. And something else, being flexible. We believe certain things. And, in a way, we really can't help it. We're miners now going into the subterranean areas of our being and looking for those beliefs and excavating them out of there, bringing them into the light of day and making a conscious choice to continue or not continue with them. And my recommendation is to believe nothing. Hold everything lightly. It's okay to play. We're here to play and to be joyful and to have experience. We're not here to identify with this stuff and to get so deep down into it that we can't extract ourselves. And we wind up in unnecessary suffering. Pain is a part of what we signed on for. Pain is a real growth process thing, and it's helpful and it's beautiful. Unnecessary pain, who wants that? And I think it all comes with identifying. Whenever we're in pain, we've got ideas under there that we've identified with. Byron Katie is probably the best prescription to heal that kind of activity. But even in myself, I wanted to share with you, I have certain foundational ones that I believe in, that I speak of all the time, such as Byron Katie, people that I resonate with. Now, Byron Katie doesn't really have any beliefs that need challenging that I know of, but some other ones do. Now, I've laid out for you Alex Collier, who is a direct face-to-face type contactee, no channeling with the Andromedan beings, uh, who have been, you know, very helpful in what they have shared with him. And part of the deal was that he was to share it with us. And he's done that at some cost and expense to himself. And if you watch his lectures that are freely available on the internet from, I guess, 94, 95, 96, he started, and then watch his 2010 ones, oh my gosh, it's 2011. You'll see the growth and development of the soul. And to me, you look for the fruit of the tree. And when you see that kind of growth and development, you have to say there's something that's right there, something that's good, or it wouldn't produce that kind of fruit. And so I do vest a certain amount of belief in what has come through Alex. He takes notes when he's speaking with them. He has boxes and boxes of like yellow notepads that he fills up so that he can get things just right. A lot of times he takes down literally what has been said. Interesting. I wonder if anybody ever asked him about using a recording device, but I don't know. I don't know. You know, the Andromedans don't talk audibly. There's one who learned how to speak due to his relationship with Alex, one he calls Morine, who learned how to talk, but for the rest, they're all telepathic. And it's really interesting, too, because he says when they're having conversations, you can actually see light around the third eye area and colors transferring back and forth and that kind of thing. He said that when he was first taken aboard the ship and he would see this, he got so distracted by it and even by the beauty of it that when someone would be talking with him this way, he would keep getting lost and not hearing, you know, the message because he was so lost in the visuals of it. Very sweet. We have much to look forward to. So you'll find I do vest a certain amount of belief in the things that have come through Alex. Now, belief is something to hold somewhat lightly, you know, but all the same, I admit that. Okay, then there are two channelers that I like pretty much, Patricia Corey above all. Now, this may well be, my friends, because of the relationship between her soul and mine over other lifetimes. We don't know one another well in this lifetime, but there's something very deep there. And I don't know at this point in my walk, I can't sort that out and say, you know, it's this much percent because I know and trust her, and it's, you know, this much percent. I can't do that. But what the Syrian High Council is the group that she speaks for. And I don't know how many there are on this council, but they are the ones from, they tell us, from sixth density that speak through her and give us their view on life. And I have fallen in love with them. These are light beings. I mean, every fiber of my being inside knows that these are beings of true light. These are not imposters. I guess I just answered my question, didn't I? So I have both the long relationship with Patricia, but I have my own direct personal contact. Now, I'm no channeler, and it's a rare thing when beings will speak with me. I don't invite it. I don't refuse it. I just journal. And when it comes in the flow, now and then, these ones, like in my R-rated journal, they're the ones who came in at the end and helped me out and helped me realize, oh my God, I can let go of all of this crap now. That it was the right thing to do, to wade through this and to admit that it was there and give it voice. We have a lot of things within us that we haven't given voice. And how about for the new year, we determine not to do that anymore, not to stuff things down and to let them say their piece. Because sometimes that's all that's needed. And then we can go on, then we can let go. The letting go is important. So there's the Syrian High Council, and the main books, the main teaching that I treasure came through uh, a trilogy of books that they wrote, the Syrian Revelations. And so I will admit to vesting pretty strong belief in what they have to say. Now, they explain the DNA, they explain Atlantis, they explain that there wasn't just one civilization on Atlantis. Over the tens of thousands of years, there were three. And they all ended in a devastation, but they reached very high pinnacles of different sorts. And so they lay that out for us. And they lay out the creation of man, the human experiment, the great experiment, if you will, and how man was the man's body, not souls. ETs do not create souls. All right, and we are ETs. ETs are not something separate from us. You and I, my friends, have incarnated all kinds of bodies. All right, we are not just human. I don't know that anyone is. Maybe some souls are, but I know I'm not. And I can't tell you specifically who and what my lineage is, because which lifetime are we talking about? All right. We've got to begin to separate out souls from bodies, or the essence of who and what we are from the container it's in. I think we've got to quit so identifying with containers or being prejudiced one way or another. There are so many people that think if it's a reptilian, it's bad and it's evil. Oh my God, that's like saying if it's a human being, it's irresponsible and it's warlike. Now, how fair is that? And you tell me, how is that different? You know, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if I'd had a reptilian life or two somewhere along the way. You know, I'm sure I've worn all sorts of bodies. They're just bodies. Gee, I didn't know I'd be singing this song. I just wanted to talk about holding beliefs lightly. So there is the Patricia Corey material, and there's a lot in it. Um, and you can't find it on the internet. You actually have to buy the paper books. She hasn't done audio books or anything. And they're available through Amazon. They don't cost that much. Okay. Marciniak is the last one. Barbara Marciniak. And the group that has spoken through her, she's a channeler as well, is mostly Pleiadian for her more recent books. And again, it's not one being. It's like, I don't know if you could call it a group soul, but it's not just one being. Um, and so there's a group that she is the scribe for. And she's got a lot. There's a lot that's been offered through her work. And I just have to say, especially her more recent book, I think it's from '04, on empowerment. It just resonates. It just rings with me. There's light there. And so these three, I've taken what they have to say most seriously. And so when you hear me talking about the dark force or something like that, I've taken a lot of my understanding from these beings. I like the way the Pleiadians go about it. They lighten it and do what they can to make it humorous, to help us disidentify a lot and not be so polarized, either for or against one side or the other. So they call them the dark t-shirts and the light t-shirts. And so the dark t-shirts are service to self, and they have their own agenda that they're doing their very best to accomplish. And when seen from their perspective, their way makes a lot of sense. There's not a lot of understanding, empathy, or sympathy for mankind. Mankind is mostly just in the way. of the dark t-shirts, or puppy, no, or a resource to be used. And so, from mankind's perspective, that's not so hot. But let's be more flexible in our perspective, friends. It'll take us into higher understandings if we can do that and not get so revved up by identifying with this or that. I mean, ultimately, we are all of this. Come on now, everything is one. There's a lot of Christians that haven't crossed this particular threshold yet. Everything is one. If God is omnipresent, that means everywhere present. And that means present in the devils and things. There's nothing that's not God. There's not a God and then a not God. What kind of deal would that be? What kind of lower being would people be worshiping that, wouldn't be the whole? And so it's okay to contain the whole. It's okay to have a darker side. What we seek, I have discovered late in life, is balance. Well, I knew all my life balance was important, but that's really come alive for me in my fifth decade here. The body is 58 now. That's got nothing to do with the soul, though, so we'll set that aside. Um, Balance is what is needed. And so, in the oneness of all that is, all that we see is us, all that we perceive is us. And the way we see and perceive it, we have to recognize a certain amount of projecting that we're doing. That's what that is. That means I project what's inside of me outside. And so we have to begin at least to take that perspective and looking at things through those lenses. It really pretzels the mind. It really changes things. And so when I look at, let's say, my friend maybe leaving me because I'm setting some boundaries here, I have to know, okay, I set this up. I created this, and it's no more that I can point to someone over there and say, they did this to me. All right? There's no them and me. There's a oneness here that's operating. And so I have to own the energies of the breakup, whatever they are, and find a way to be comfortable with that and to bring balance into my world and to be grateful for literally everything that happens. Everything. No matter what. Even my kitty cat crossing over. There's nothing not to be grateful for. Even the abuse I received as a little small child. There's nothing not to be grateful for in the end. It all goes together to bring us to the point where we are now. And if we look really closely, that's a pretty darn good point. And no matter what comes, we're equal to it, and then some. When the tough stuff comes, it calls us, it almost pushes us into downloading from higher self that which is necessary to bring in from our higher self in order to meet the test, whatever it is. And so that is good. I feel like I'm going to do more than one video today, but this one is on beliefs, and I want to share with you. Some of you know that I spent more than 25 years following the teachings of the Summit Lighthouse and the Ascended Masters of the Great White Brotherhood. And I thoroughly believed that who was speaking there through the messenger, as they are called, were ones like Jesus, beings of great light, those who had transcended this level, moved on to the next, and were therefore qualified to advise, guide, and direct us. And so I vested a very great deal of belief in what they had to say. And so that's been a part of me for a very long time. I want you to know I'm looking at that now. And I have been for some time backing away from that and saying, hey, wait a minute. I don't know anymore. I don't know anymore. And so, you know, God is big enough to take our disbelief. Truth is big enough to stand on its own. And so it's unimportant to God what we believe or don't believe. And I know that steps on some toes, but if you look at that, that's the toes of your beliefs. Those toes aren't yours. And so I'm backing away and wondering, just wondering now. There are many people on the earth that speak falsely, whether, you know, some intentionally and some quite unintentionally. There are people that lie, that are in service to self. Well, why would this be different with other beings, with off-world beings? Um, and so I have to say, I've learned so much lately. Oh, and Cavasilis, George Cavasilis, I have found a good one. I don't believe 100% of what anyone says. Um, outside of those that I have mentioned, you know, I tend to vest more belief in them, but any speaker like Cavasilis or any teacher of light, I don't find anybody has 100% of the truth. But his what he has to offer is very important. He's a very sincere soul. Um, when you're in heart, you can at least read that about someone, the depth of sincerity there, and the real desire to make a difference, to be of assistance to life. And he's had some really wild experiences. All right. And they're worthy of listening to run through your own truth filter. That's really important. Don't buy people's story just the way it's laid out. Run it through heart. I have recently, somebody sent me a video by a man in Great Britain named Chris Thomas. And I think I'll be doing an introductory video because I think he's another one that deserves a listen. And what I heard and was able to accept from what he offers is helping me step away even more from belief in the teachings that the Ascended Masters brought through. So I guess it's just to say what you found me believing at one point in my journey. Don't think that I carry that through. Don't think that I'm loyal to beliefs. And even though it's hard to let them go when we've kind of woven them in to who and what we are, and we've taken so many actions based on our understanding, on our beliefs, that doesn't matter. We can drop them like an old suit of clothes and walk on. You know, being nude for a while is probably a pretty good thing. That's what I find that happens when I'm dropping a major belief. I've dropped major beliefs in God. You know, I've had times when my whole conception around God, who and what that is, uh, just became invalid. I could no more vest belief in it. And so, being very devotional, I was very lost. You know, who was this one I was singing my joy to and offering my prayers and devotions to? And all of a sudden, I couldn't do that anymore. So, I know it can be challenging and painful and make you feel nude and lost, abandoned, kind of, and confused. But I'm much more comfortable with that now. And I just want to put in a word for this kind of a life where we hold beliefs very lightly. I find it's a tremendous blessing. Have a good day. Have a good year. Bye bye.